first question is how much impact do managers actually have on an organization's success or failure? So managers have substantial impact on an organization's success or failure as they play a huge role in developing the strategic directions for how your company will grow and achieve in short term and long term. So inside of management, there are two perspectives, which is the omnipotent view and also the symbolic view. Shortly, the omnipotent view, which believes managers control everything, and the symbolic view, which acknowledges external factors beyond their control. For omnipotent view, managers should be able to overcome any challenges through effective leadership, decision making, also the strategic planning. So by decisive leadership and strategy, managers are expected to set clear strategies and make decisions that will directly improve organization performance. So for the symbolic view, one of it is the symbols of the leadership. So during economic downturns and market disruptions, leader may symbolize hope and resilience, which can motivate employees to stay focused and productive. So to a certain extent, both views have validity, depending upon the organization, the manager, and also the external and internal environments. Is why do managers need understanding of what happens outside their organizations? So basically, it is because the external environment. So as we know, external environment directly impacts how organizations operating, compete, and succeed. So basically, it plays a huge role in the types of strategies and actions a business decides to implement. Thus, with the understanding on what happened outside of the organizations, managers can set realistic goals, adapt strategies, and plan long-term actions that align with the external environment. So let's say by understanding potential and external risks such as the supply chain disruptions, managers could ensure that organization can continually operating smoothly even when unexpected challenges rises. Examples of how changes in external environment affect their job. Firstly is through its impact on job and employment. For instance, rise of automation and artificial intelligence (AI) in industries like manufacturing and retail, such as Tesla. So second is through the environmental uncertainty that is present. For instance, the global supply chain disruptions experienced during the COVID-19 pandemic. These uncertainty force managers to be flexible, make it rapid decisions, focus on contingency planning, demonstrating how external uncertainty impacts managerial decisions and strategies. Last but not least is through the various stakeholder relationships that exist. For instance, the environmental sustainability demands from customers and regulatory bodies. So let's say through customer, manager must respond to consumers' demand for sustainable packaging as it influences the brand loyalty. Manager also might implement environmentally friendly options to meet these expectations and retain the customer trust. For the next question is on how the change economy affects what managers do. So the change economy is a term that used to describe the ongoing economic transformations due to technological innovations, economic changes, and also the global. So the first example is going to be the adoption of artificial intelligence and automations, AI. So for instance, companies like Target are increasingly leveraging AI and automation in their operations. So this company actually implementing self-checkout counter in stores and warehouse to improve efficiency and meet the demands of growing e-commerce market. As a result, this technology actually help business adapt to labor shortage and respond to consumer preference for quicker and more efficient service. It's going to be adopting remote work and also the flexible schedules. So both of these have become a significant business activity driven by the changing economy and the workplace dynamics. So remote work actually gained the prominence during the COVID-19 pandemic and have been evolved into a standard practice for many organizations. So with the right tools and the policies, remote work can boost efficiency. So for instance, company like Twitter have fully embraced the remote first approaches, offering employees flexibility while ensuring work continuity. Flexibility schedules complement remote work by allowing employees to choose work hours that suit their personal needs and productivity cycles. So flexibility improves work-life balance, fostering happier and more loyal employees. For instance, Organizations like X and Spotify have shifted to remote first models, enabling employees to work from anywhere while maintaining the productivity. Meanwhile, the Google and Microsoft use hybrid models that offer a mix of in-office and remote work, allowing employees flexibility while fostering collaboration and innovation.
So moving on to the next question from previous question. So we're moving on to question 4.4. Before we start, let me introduce myself. My name is Tessian. So to question 4.4, the question is why is it important for the managers to pay attention to demographic trends which shifts? So there are three reasons for the managers to pay attention to the demographic trends which shifts, which is because it can bring great impacts on workforce planning, customers' need and preferences, strategic position, and competitive advantage. The first reason, the great impact on workforce planning. So, by managers have to make the right adjustment to adapt the changes in the market, and they have to make the right recruitment to the right person with the right talent, and also they have to provide trainings and development and programs for those old workers to adapt to the new changes in the market. And so, for example, mobile phones companies such as Apple, they produce a new phone models with the new features and more advanced technology to adapt to new demands from the market. So managers have to recruit people that consume knowledge and skills about the technologies, the advanced technologies to create the new models, the new product. And iPhone also have created new features such as dynamic island to make the user easier to access the app. So managers have to recruit the right persons to have the ability to make the programming and behind the existing of these features because of the programmers that was being chosen by the apples as the workers, they have done the coding to make these dynamic islands happen. The second point, which is the customer's need and preferences, managers are able to change their marketing and sales strategy based on what the customers demand, what the customers need in the market by tracking up the shifts in the age group on their lifestyle, knowing that they can align their product and services and marketing strategies to meet the needs and evolving customers' need. So let's take an example, which is also the same examples previously, the mobile phone brands Apple. Due to the population age and when they recognize that older adults becoming the largest segment of their customer base, so managers noticed that because of these changes, and they found the older adults found it difficult to use complex smartphones to use like the buttons, small buttons, and the small screens. So iPhone introduced a larger screens and simple modes with a larger icon so they're easier for them to use their product. And this is one of the important things that a business operation have to do. But not least the point, the strategic position and competitive advantage. So managers have to by anticipating the democratic change to help the companies to stay ahead with the competitors. So by understanding where the market heading and what are the changes that will happen in the future, they have to proactively adjust their business models to position the companies for this future success. And they have to predict and respond to the demographic shifts, often capture the new customers before the competitors can react. So taking the same brands as an example, Apple anticipate their competitor Samsung will release a new products, a new launch event. So Apple decides to come out a new iOS system, they come out a new product and with more functions and more features to compete with the competitors, which is Samsung. So with the right promotion strategy, Apple are able to capture the new customers and also their loyal customers and getting the higher interest level compared with the Samsungs. Continue to question 4.5, discussing question 4.5. So the question is business operate in external environment. Discuss whether managers experience environmental stability in their business operation. In this context, provide local examples of environment stability and environmental uncertainty. We really answer the question. So let's just digest into these two kinds of environmental situation, which is environmental stability and uncertainty. So environmental stability is occurs when external force remain predictable and consistent. Managers are able to plan without any disruption, which means they are able to predict what will happen in the market in the future, and they are able to focus more on optimizing their processes, improving their efficiency, and make a perfect strategy plan with their prediction for the future purposes as well. As for the uncertainties, they occurs when the external conditions are volatile, unpredictable, or constantly changing, which means can't predict well what will happen in the future market, what will happen in the market. So it occurs due to economic instability, political change, shift in technologies, or sudden change of customers' behavior. In my opinion and my thoughts about it is managers rarely will experience environmental stability. Instead, they will experience more on the environmental uncertainties in their business operation. This is because of the technology advancement changes. They will the rapid change in technology and also the customer preferences will constantly change every day, and also related to the regulations and political change due to the government. They change the laws, they change the regulations. So, in the context, examples for the environmental uncertainties, let's take technology and e-commerce industry. So, as take these competitors, which is Shopee and Lazada. Lazada and Shopee have to be more flexible to respond to uncertainties such as the customer's preferences and the rapid change of technology changes. For the customer preferences, customer may be their demands will change every day. And for the technologies, they are slowly getting advanced every day as well. So both have to make the right adjustment in response to the new competitors, their customers' demands, and also there may be swift changes in the government policies. For the environmental stability, the example, let's take palm oil industry as an example. In Malaysia, palm oil in plantations and also the production of the companies operates with a level of predictable because of consistent climate where Malaysia is one of the tropical rainforest country. So it's easier to harvest the palm oil tree, and the palm oil industry doesn't have any difficulties to harvest the palm oil. And the government supports and also the policies where Malaysia governments promote the palm oil sectors worldwide. And the global demand where the worldwide businesses highly demanded for the palm oil. With the government support and also the global demand, palm oil industry doesn't face any uncertainties. They mostly are in a stable environmental situation. So by end of my presentation, so I will pass it to the next person.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and hi everyone. My name is Muhammad Afiq Irfan. So I'll be taking on the wheel for the summary of case study 1, which is Bad Ride, Bumpy Ride, which elaborates on Uber's negative organizational culture and also leadership. To start off with, the introduction for the company is Uber is an e-hailing company that started when Travis Kalanick, the founder and also former CEO, was having a problem with hailing a cab on a snowy evening in Paris 2008. The eureka of it was, what if calling for a cab was just a button away? Today, Uber had become a forefront of the e-hailing industry. However, the internal issue within the organization during Kalanick's reign as CEO was a true horror. Many employees came up front with the fear of matriarchal hierarchy and culture that was integrated within the company. It all started off with during a blog post made by Susan Fowler, a former Uber engineer, that outlined a toxic work culture and hostile work culture towards women, and Uber filled with managers who turn a blind eye towards abuse on many levels, towards employees, competitors, law enforcement officials, and the law itself. So to add on, Uber's mission was to pursue hyper growth at all costs, with mottos, for example, always be hustling, toe stepping, which shows no regards of collaboration and teamwork value. And the matriarchal hierarchy and culture that was integrated in the company was, for example, that achievements were celebrated with chest bumps and push-ups, even though it's not wrong. But many female employees felt uncomfortable and unaligned with those sort of behaviors. Add There were multiple cases of wrongful decisions and actions made by Kalanick himself, the former CEO, and the top executive managers. So, first of all, there was a dashcam video roaming around the internet of Kalanick heatedly arguing on fares with an Uber driver, that those fares that were set up by his own company. And second thing is a rape case of a 26-year-old passenger by an Uber driver in India. The absurd thing is the executives proposed that the rape was planned by an Indian rival to ensure the downfall of Uber. And the third issue was a data breach that was hidden for over a year. And lastly, the executives, rivals, and also drivers of rival companies were secretly spied upon to ensure that Uber had insider information that what was going on in competitor's company. So after months of trying to cope with all of these issues and no progress at all, some of the firm's biggest investors forcefully kicked out Kalanick as the CEO, and the board of directors has appointed Dara as the new CEO, who carries the burden of replenishing Uber's depleted executive ranks, address the new allegations, and bringing Uber to a new forefront. That's it from me. Thank you.
So good morning everyone, I am Mohammed TUFAIL INSYIRAH and today I'm going to be answering the questions. Let's begin with the first question. What role does a CEO play in an organization's culture? What role do other leaders, managers play, and what role should they play? Based on this question, a CEO plays a vital role in shaping an organization's culture, as their values, beliefs, and behaviors set the tone for the rest of the company. In Uber's case, founder and CEO Travis Kalanick's aggressive and confrontational style influenced Uber's culture heavily, promoting values such as hypergrowth, competition, and a win-at-all-cost mentality. Leaders and managers influence culture by exemplifying behaviors that employees are likely to emulate, thus establishing norms within the company. They should ideally play a role that promotes ethical behavior, collaboration, and a respectful workplace environment. And now, on to the second question. Using Exhibit 4.4, describe Uber's culture under its founder. Using Exhibit 4.4, if we assume it's about corporate values, Uber's culture under Kalanick was marked by a competitive, aggressive approach, focused on rapid expansion and market dominance, with little emphasis on collaboration, teamwork, or ethical considerations. The culture encouraged employees to be hustlers and adopt a win-at-all-cost mentality, which, while driving rapid growth, contributed to a hostile and toxic work environment. And lastly, which view of management do you see played out here? The omnipotent or the symbolic? Explain. Under Kalanick, Uber exemplified an omnipotent view of management, where he had significant control over decisions and heavily influenced the organization's culture. Kalanick's leadership style promoted an intense, highly competitive work environment that neglected ethical boundaries. This omnipotent style fostered a culture of aggressive behavior and disregard for rules, leading to various controversies and scandals. That's all from me, and thank you.
The question that will be answered by me is, what advice about organizational culture would you give to the new CEO? First of all, I would like to briefly explain what organizational culture is. Organizational culture refers to the commonly held tradition, attitudes, and behavior of people in an organization which influence the culture and pattern on how they treat each other. However, how the culture is applied may vary according to the management level in the organization. Those who are in the top managerial position often be treated with more respect, while those who are in the first line manager are not given such respect and forced to follow the culture that they are not comfortable with. There are 5 dimensions of culture that we learn from the lecture. The first one is innovation and risk-taking. Second is stability. The third is attention to detail. The fourth is aggressiveness. And the fifth is outcome or people or team orientation. Based on this case study, we can make a conclusion that the ex-CEO of the company is only focused on aggressiveness. This can be seen in how the CEO did not care about any risk that can affect the whole company as long as he can achieve his target. For instance, when there is a rape case reported from a passenger by an Uber driver in India, the company somehow are able to obtain the confidential medical record document of the victim and share it to the public and make a blatant assumption that the incident was a setup by a rival company, just to clear Uber's name from the case. Other than that, Uber also spied on their rivals, employees and drivers and key executives secretly to get their confidential business information. This aggressive risk-taking culture without maintaining ethical limits by the CEO has caused the Uber to be targeted by the law enforcement, which damaged the company's reputation and stability. I believe that the root of employees' productivity, which is shaped by those in higher management levels. Therefore, the new CEO should not follow Travis Kalanick's footsteps, but instead create a new culture in the organization. The new culture that should be normalized is enhancing team orientation. The new CEO should abolish the old culture that glorifies the win at all cost attitude, which only causes workers to compete between themselves just to look stand out from others, and instead nurture collaboration and teamwork, which will help to create respectful communication and teamwork over confrontation and individual dominance, which will help to foster a healthier, more supportive workplace. Next, the new CEO should put more attention to details such as customer safety and legal compliance. By following the law regarding the customer's rights, such as ensuring their safety, personal data, privacy protected, and thoroughness in operations, customer service, and management, previous incidents such as hiding data breach and exposure of customers' medical report wouldn't happen again in the future, and thus increasing customers' confidence in the company. Lastly, the new CEO must enhance people orientation in the new organizational culture. During Travis Kalanick's term as the CEO, there are many sexual harassment cases that occur in the workplace reported, but end up with no action taken to the perpetrator. The new CEO should create a safe space for workers to make a complaint if any of them are harassed, and a strict action such as terminating the perpetrator from the company must be done to ensure that every people feels safe when working. The final question for this case study is, from an ethics perspective, what part of this situation disturbs you the most? What career advice as far as ethical behavior could you take away from this story? The most disturbing part of this situation is how Uber responded to the horrific rape of a 26-year-old passenger by Uber driver in India. Instead of focusing on supporting the survivor and ensuring justice, the company's action reflected a shocking lack of empathy and ethics. The fact that a senior executive obtained and leaked the victim's confidential medical record is very unethical and a gross violation of privacy. On top of that, the executive even created a baseless theory that the assault was staged by a rival company. This response wasn't just unethical, it was inhuman. It showed zero empathy for the survivor's dignity and well-being, only to prioritize the company's image over basic human decency. Action like this will cause customers to lose their trust, not in the company, but also in the people who work in it. The career advice that can be taken from this text is that we should always prioritize customers' privacy to ensure that they will feel safe when using our company. As a company, we should never misuse and share the private information that we obtain, because protecting this private information is just a fundamental ethical obligation. Other than that, as a company, we are obligated to take accountability on any bad incident that occurs during the time when we are handling a customer, instead of blaming it to others as it only worsens the damage. Next, we should always learn from any past mistake that happened in order to know what should be improvised in the future to gain better satisfaction from customers and to prevent the same incident in future. Lastly, if we are in the leading position in the organization, we should demonstrate a good leadership that follows all ethics that are necessary either to customers or workers, as it will shape the ethics and the culture in the organization. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum. Hi, it's Afiq Irfan again. So I'll be taking on the wheel for summary of case study 2, which is not sold out, which elaborates on CEO of Tableau, Christian Chabot, the power of presence. So to introduce the company, Tableau is a leading provider of analytics and business intelligence for software solutions. The company was founded in 2004 and is based in Seattle, USA, and Chabot as the CEO. But how has Chabot maintained its company's relevance in the international market? So, despite its rough competitors in making cutting-edge softwares like Microsoft, it has maintained its share in the marketplace with an increase of yearly revenue and expansion into the international market, with locations like in Shanghai, Singapore, Sydney, and London. But how does Chabot maintain its company relevance is through mainly focusing its abroad office. For example, he has stayed in London for over a year, helping grow the regional sales and providing insights on international markets, such as in locations like I said just now, Shanghai, Sydney, and London. Secondly, he reiterates that managing culture and people with understanding of their challenges as international employees. So because geographical workers can feel disconnected with the global company or HQ, particularly when needing to report to the HQ. Chabot felt that being outside of the HQ, like he did by staying in the London office, has ensured that by focusing in these branches, not just in HQ, it's a detrimental pivot towards the success of the company, which encourages local workers and also global workers to push forwards for the success of the company. And also he encourages other executives to spend more time in international offices so that they can have an insight on how the international market is growing and how their company should be growing towards in tackling the international market. So that's it from me. Thank you very much.
The blue staff is international officers primarily with host country nationals. What are the advantages and disadvantages of the staffing strategy? The first advantages is cost efficiency. Employing citizens of the host nation country can be less expensive than hiring expats, who frequently demand greater pay, relocation benefits, and other perks. In contrast, local workers usually have lower expectations for remuneration. The second advantages is reduced risk of cultural clash. Expatriates may have difficulty assimilating to local cultural norms and communicating effectively with local colleagues or clients. Host country nationals are already familiar with the culture, which reduces the danger. The disadvantages is talent gaps. In some cases, the host country may not have the necessary skills or talents to fill specialized or high-level roles, especially if the company requires advanced technical expertise or leadership skills that are more readily available in the home country or other international markets. The second disadvantages is career path limitations. If the company does not create opportunities for country nationals to interact with other offices or move into global leadership roles, it could result in lower motivation or engagement for talented employees. Host country nationals may also feel excluded from higher level decision making in expatriation nominated senior roles. Do you agree with Chabot that the company will benefit if more executives spend time in international offices? Why or why not? For me, yes, I agree with Chabot's view that a company can benefit if more executives spend time in international offices. This approach can provide valuable insights and strengthen the connection between global headquarters and local operation. This is the reason why. The first one is cultural awareness and sensitivity. Spending time in international offices allows executives to develop a deeper cultural awareness, helping them navigate local norms and avoid misunderstandings. This can improve relationships with local stakeholders, including employees, customers, and partners. The second one is stronger leadership and influence. When executives spend time on the ground, it demonstrates commitment and leadership. It can enhance their credibility and influence with local teams, as employees see them as more engaged and invested in the success of the local office. This can lead to increased motivation, loyalty, and productivity from local staff.
Alright, so for my question, which is DQ18418, as W executives get ready to spend time in the company's international offices, how can they prepare for the cultural differences they will encounter? So, as for my first point over here is doing cultural research. Learn about the culture. Before traveling, executives should invest time in understanding the cultural nuances of the host country. This includes values, businesses, etiquette, communication styles, and the general social norms. For example, understanding whether the culture is more hierarchical or egalitarian, and whether direct or indirect communication is preferred. And the second point over here is research the local business government. Business practices can vary greatly across cultures. Knowing about the local approach to meetings, decision making, and work-life balance is important. And for the final sub-point, it is understanding the role of hierarchy. Some cultures have a strict hierarchical structure in the workplace, for example, Japan and Korea, while others are more egalitarian, for example, Scandinavian countries. Being aware of the level of formality in addressing colleagues and superiors can help avoid awkward situations. So for the second point, which is learn key phrases in the local language. While it's unlikely that executives will become fluent in the local language in a short amount of time, learning a few basic phrases such as greetings and whatnot can go a long way in building a rapport. Even if the team speaks English, showing respect for the local language can be seen as a sign of respect and goodwill. For the final point, which is understand the local work ethic and practices. So here we talk about time and punctuality. In some countries, being late is considered disrespectful. For example, Germany, Switzerland, while in others, it might not carry the same weight. For example, parts of Latin America or the Middle East. And for the final sub-point, which is working hours, understanding local work hours and expectation regarding overtime can help avoid misunderstandings. For example, many countries in Europe prioritize work-life balance, while in some Asian cultures, long working hours may be more common. And decision-making processes, in some countries, decisions are made quickly and autonomously, for example, the United States. Whereas in other cultures, for example, Japan and China, decision-making might involve a more consensus-driven approach, which can take longer. So for the next question, which is discussion question number 19, which is, what are some of the challenges TUFAIL will face as it hires 1,000 new employees in 1 year? So for my first main point, which is recruitment and talent acquisition. So the first sub-point that I want to talk about here is sourcing candidates. Finding enough qualified candidates to fill 1,000 positions can be a daunting task. The company may need to expand its recruitment efforts through multiple channels such as job boards, social media, recruiting agencies, and employee referrals. For the second sub-point, which is diversity and inclusion, I want to talk about how scaling quickly can lead to challenges in maintaining a diverse and inclusive hiring process. Efforts to hire candidates from diverse backgrounds, skills, and perspectives must be intentional and planned. And moving on to the second main point, which is onboarding and integration. So here we are talking about effective onboarding programs. Bringing 1,000 new employees on board means the company will need to implement a robust, scalable onboarding program that can effectively train and integrate new hires into the company culture, tools, and processes. As for the second sub-point, which is employee engagement, ensuring that new employees feel connected, valued, and engaged during their onboarding process can be challenging when scaling up at such a rapid pace. A personal touch might be lost in the process unless efforts are made to nurture relationships later on. That is all from me. Thank you.